That's quite a power move to be standing longer than I did, Martin. So, but hey, good to have you on stage. If I may, I would love to introduce you. I'm sure most of the audience. How many here do not know who Martin is? There's one over there. We can explain you afterwards. So Martin is one of the old guys on the Danish tech scene. When I moved to Copenhagen, I'm from Jutland. I moved here in '94. You started UB, the first Danish search engine, in '95. And I remember when I studied law in Copenhagen, the dream of becoming rich was to be as rich as the guys from UB, because they had a flat in this silo in Vesterbro, right? That was a story on the street in Copenhagen, that UB had a flat in this big new building on Vesterbro. Is that correct? You had a flat there?
Yeah, we had a flat on top.
Who lived there?
We kind of used it for parties only, so...
That's the dream back then of being a founder. Martin, and then you have founded a huge number of companies ever since. You sold UB to Lycos in 2000, right?
Yeah, I've been with 40 companies, I think. Went bankrupt twice, and think I made 6, 7, 8 good businesses out of that. But a lot of them sold for 1 kroner, and so... I eat every day, as you can see, so all is good.
You're 55 now.
Yeah.
And back, when I was preparing for this session, I found 2 quotes. One is, I don't give a damn if you think I'm politically correct or not. I just tell you what I think. Said to a journalist, right? Back in 2019, that thought that you were a bit too vocal. Then there's another one that and I hope that during this session you'll show that you still don't care about whether you're politically correct or not. The other quote that I would love for you to comment on is that I work 15 hours a week. I don't dream of building the next unicorn. I dream of building a life I actually like. That's a quote from 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you have a life that you actually like now?
Yeah, I love my life, and I think it's been the transition from working 70, 80 hours a week to less. It's been like a drug addict who needed to stop using drugs. I think it took me 10 years. But again, how many hours do I work? Is it work when I sit at home and thinking about new technologies and AI? Is it work when I network with people? Is it work when I sit here? Actually, I enjoy myself right now. Is that work? Maybe it's considered work, but I enjoy myself, so it's very hard to say what is work. As my motto is, I never work and I never have free time.
So that's quite opposite of everyone would tell you that if you have a stressed out life, you need to be able to relax and leave all emails aside. You're always on the phone or an email or...
My phone has been on silence mode for 20 years. I don't think in the 20 years, I mean, maybe when my kids were supposed to be born, it was with sound, but apart from that, I don't have emails just getting in. It's always, my life is, it's up to me when I want to be, as I want to be controlled with voice, with emails, with whatever. I hate things getting, my watch, I mean, it's a smartwatch, but it's the most stupid smartwatch because it does absolutely nothing but giving my pulse and tell me how well I slept. That's it, no messaging, no nothing.
But, we both sold companies. I've sold one to Vodafone, and then I stayed with Vodafone for 2 years. I left literally on the day, this was back in 2010, on the day that I could leave without losing a lot of money. I left Vodafone. Then a couple of years later, I sold a company to Citrix in the US, and I was handcuffed for 3 years. I stayed 3 months longer, but still I left after 3 years. You sold your company to Visma Dinero. Yeah. Back in 2016, right?
16, yeah.
So almost 9 years ago.
Exactly.
But you're still with Visma. You're even wearing a T-shirt where it says Visma. Is that part of having a good life, that you just have a steady salary from a big corporation in Norway now?
No, I mean, to be honest, when I looked at the T-shirt this morning, I was so close to bring my normal T-shirt, but then I think, okay, I mean, I'm getting paid for wearing this shit, so...
We're also
okay.
both getting paid for how many times we mentioned Visma during this conversation.
But I made a deal with Visma back then that as long as they were okay with the revenue, the profit, and my employees were happy and we had a good strategy, they would leave me alone, and they kept to that promise. Meaning I have several investments. My wife and I are running 2 hotels and a hostel on Bornholm. And I think I have 5, 6 other investments I work with, so I can more or less do what I want. So it's not because I have a 9-year earn-out. It was a 1-year earn-out, and it went really, really well. So they treated me well, and I think in the beginning I made some boundaries where Visma had some ideas back then, 9 years ago, that we were not supposed to use Mac computers, and I said, I don't give a shit. I told you I would take care of Dinero as it was my own company, and I buy all the MacBooks I want. And I did, and they said, okay, Martin, but don't tell all the other companies. And I think that has been the wave we've been doing, and I actually think that in Dinero we have a little bit of the responsibility of Visma not being a McDonald's like a lot of other big corporate companies. And today Visma is they're buying 35 companies a year. And the motto now is we buy strong SaaS companies and let them do what they do. If we interfere, why would we do that? Because if we had to interfere, we would not have bought the company in the first place. So it's a very nice place to be. And the best part for me in being in a corporate environment is also it prohibits me from starting a new company and getting divorced for the second time. So I have a lot of time with my kids and my wife, and we travel a lot and have a lot of fun. So that's also one of the benefits of not being able to go full in. Maybe I'll do that when the kids they leave the house.
So what you're saying is that being employed by Visma, even though you don't spend, you have the freedom to do other things, is also kind of a curveball to yourself, in order that because it prevents you from starting another company and doing 80 hours a week.
Yeah, but I think, to be honest, one of the most important things is also we had a vision when we started Dinero, not just being an accounting system. We wanted to build something that actually helps small companies make more money. And the last 7 years, we built a foundation for that. And now with AI, we're actually doing, one of the things we're doing is not a promotion. We have 103,000 customers. So if that would give us 1 or more 2, I couldn't care less. But it's just because I'm proud of it. With AI, we're doing, if you're a carpenter in Copenhagen now, you can just go in and we'll take you, analyze your website and the Trustpilot and all the other rating services and give you kind of an overview of what do you promise and what do you actually deliver. We have so many carpenters around Denmark, so we can tell you that what you charge is less than other carpenters in your area charge, and you have a very high Trustpilot. Maybe you should look into adjusting your prices. I mean, I actually get the goosebumps from that. I know it doesn't sound that advanced, but just imagine having a small business, you have nobody to talk to, and suddenly we use all your numbers and all your competitors' numbers and all the numbers on Trustpilot and all these things, combine it into a huge dashboard where it gives you everyday direction. You can ask, what do other carpenters who make more money than I do? What do they do? Okay, they advertise more on YouTube. They do this and this and that. So we actually can help the small companies have more information at hand, I would say, than many other huge companies has of this day. And that is fun.
I love your energy, Martin. And my next question was, do you still feel that Dinero, even though you don't own it anymore, it's owned by Visma, that is still your baby? But I think you answered that question already.
I think those on the front row could actually see my hairstyle. If you look at it, you can actually still see it, right? I mean, so it is a passion for me to help the small entrepreneurs. But give them the opportunity to grow if that's what they want.
But so Dinero is still your baby, but it's kind of been adopted by some other parents, right? So you're not really the dad of Dinero, are you? Have you had any situations the last 9 years since you've been part of Visma where you wanted to go in this direction with Dinero and Visma wanted something else and you got it your way or not?
Not if we look at the overall strategy. They have been totally on board and supported and think it's super cool. But there's been many times where I've gotten angry. I mean, the Mac computer example. Another time where they had this idea we should have this shitty Oracle Elogia system for marketing or so, which costed a fortune, and you needed consultants to 5,000 kroner per hour. And I just told him, I simply did like that and said, okay, if you can find one Visma entity who adopted this shitty piece of software, had any success with that, I'll look into that. And after 2 years, I got 0 calls. I've been angry sometimes, but I actually think, and that's what I like about Visma, is they're very, very pragmatic. I mean, we were 4 partners in Dinero, and 3 of them wanted to sell. I didn't want to sell. But anyway, we were musketeers, we sold. And we got a really good offer from QuickBooks and Sage and then Visma. And Visma was actually the lowest bid of them all. And I told my partners, one thing, you are forcing me to sell my fucking dream company. That's fine. But I'm not gonna work for a goddamn American company, a UK company, getting into this McDonald's sausage thing where we have to comply with all these shitty rules and things. No fucking way, my life is too short. If you do that, then you sell the company without the CEO and then you find something else. So Visma came and they told, as long as you keep Dinero and you do what you would do with your own company, then you're good. So the 3 or 4 times I had an argument with Visma, I said, do you remember what you told me? As long as you do what you would do if it was your own company, then we're okay. And that's end the debate. Otherwise, you find a new MD. And that was it. And maybe that's been 3 or 4 times in 9 years. And every time it's been like the shitty Mac thing or whatever small stuff, which was important to me, but not in a huge way. And I think it's paved the way for Visma to be much more open to letting the companies. As Visma buys 30 to 40 companies a year. Just imagine a machine that buys 30 to 40 companies a year and they don't McDonaldize them. Then just leave them alone because we have those 65, almost 70% of all founders are still there after 5 years. Is that cool? So every year we go to the MD conference and we are, right now, the last time, 175 MDs and founders. Just imagine being in that party. So 175 multi-millionaires still on board because they love the goddamn company, drinking red wine and whiskey and having fun and exchanging ideas. It's a fucking party, I just tell you.
But it also sounds like a fucking nightmare to manage you. Honestly,
you don't have to manage
no,
it.
exactly, because that, the original plan, was actually to have your boss, the CEO of Visma, on stage here today as well.
She's South America, buying 2 huge South American companies right now.
There you go.
I apologize on her behalf. She told me to do.
We'll let her do that. But my question to her would be, how is it to manage Martin Thorborg?
The good thing is,
do you have monthly moves samtaler where she would give you feedback on your, on your vocabulary? How many times you say fuck or?
Actually, there's a fun story there. The former CEO of Visma, who's also the founder, Øystein, came to Denmark. I think it was 5 years ago. And the PR team from the corporate Visma thing here were giving a presentation of they were doing right there. And they had 2 slides, one with Dinero and one without Dinero. Because when they put Dinero in, everybody was flatlined, and the only thing you see was talk about Dinero. So they had to pull Dinero out to see the other companies getting any form of PR. And he was looking at that and said, what? How much of that is negative? And they were out upon 0. So yeah, it was quite nice.
But what's the idea behind for Visma to buy it? Is Visma just a more advanced, specialized private equity firm that one day wants to do an IPO and then reap the benefits of all these assets? Or what's the idea behind Visma? If they don't do any integration, they leave you all by yourself and you're still the...
I think they actually do a lot to integrate, but you don't have to. They have these hoops. So if you have a security incident, they have 20 security people sitting in Norway helping out. They have a marketing hub, a legal hub, and so. So we have a huge organization that helps us anytime we have something bigger. And then we have these networks across the different countries where the CMOs and whoever are in charge of the different departments, they mingle and visit each other and get inspired from each other. So I think the big difference from Visma and a lot of other companies who does this, buy companies, is other companies, they enforce a lot of different things because they think they know better. Where Visma kind of say, this is like a smørgås. I mean, you can choose whatever you want. Do we have trouble with marketing? We are here for you. If you have some legal trouble, we are here for you. So, I mean, it's much voluntarily. And then we all sit on each other's board. I'm at the board of economic, so a lot of people come to me, I like economic better than Dinero. Thank you very much. I mean, I'm a Visma shareholder and I'm at the board of economic. I'm very glad you said that. I know it was kind of being an insult, but it's not. I love it. So, but there's still time. Karina, the managing director of economic, and I, we battle every day. I mean, I remember the Øystein thing. Øystein, the former CEO, we were sitting having a glass of wine, and I told him, it's so stupid. I mean, I spent a lot of market for Dinero on Google, and economics spent a lot of money on Google on the same search words. We're bidding each other up. I mean, that doesn't make sense. And then he looked at us, the MDs of economic and Dinero, and said, you know what? The day you start not competing to each other, somebody else will squeeze in between. Go kill each other. And we do.
So you kind of both hate and love economics.
I love economics.
What's best, Dinero or economics?
Dinero.
Of course. Anyone from economics here?
Karina is actually at the Visma booth, but she probably heard me.
But Martin, you know, so we sold Podio to Citrix back in 2012. And I sometimes, also after I left Citrix in 2015, I have a bit of seller's remorse. I would have loved to continue to build Podio because it didn't become what I would have loved it to become after it became part of Citrix because they had a different strategy and what have you. Have you ever regretted selling Dinero to Visma? And do you think Dinero would be a different animal today if it was not part of Visma, if it was still a standalone company and you got your way with your founders back then?
Yeah, as mentioned before, we were 4 partners and 3 of them wanted to sell. I didn't. So it's not really a regret because I was forced. But that's okay. I mean, they were in different positions. At that point, I was already, when I woke up in the morning, looking in Øresund, driving a nice car, and they didn't. So it made much more different for them to get a large number than it meant to me. So I thought it was more than fair to give them the same opportunity that I had. And actually, I've been thinking what Dinero would have been without Visma, and I can honestly say that Dinero wouldn't have been such a big, you can say, we wouldn't have made the revenue and the profit would have today, because it's not that Visma has helped us so much, because we didn't need that much of help, but they pushed us. Every time we were sitting with the budgets every year, we were pushed over the limit. And every time I had to agree, and I looked at my management team and say, fuck, how are we going to do this? I mean, that's impossible. And then we went home, went into the office, looked at each other and said, fuck that shit, let's see what we can do. And we did it. And that kind of, you can say, push, I would never put on myself. I mean, they dreamed much larger than I dreamed, to be honest, and pushed us much harder than I thought was fair in the beginning. But I can see they were right and I was wrong.
So if we had an APS, not an NPS, right, but the acquisition promoter score, right, how likely are you to recommend to other startups to be acquired by Visma? From 1 to 10. I mean, only a number.
I mean,
short answer.
10.
Okay.
I'm proof here. I mean, I still look at Øresund every morning. Goddammit, I could do whatever I want. I could go live another place. I could do exactly what I want to do. I mean,
I would give Vodafone a 3 and Citrix an 8.
Yeah.
So they're definitely doing better than I've experienced. Martin, can let's just change scene a bit and then look, you know, and we actually we're trying to leave time for some questions. So if you post some questions in a couple of minutes, we'll take some questions on the screen here. But before we do that, you have been part of the Danish entrepreneurial scene for 30 years.
Yeah.
How is it today? What's the temperature? How you're still investing in companies, right? So you're still meeting founders.
I mean, when I started out as an entrepreneur 30 years ago, entrepreneur was another word for being unemployed. Like being a consultant today, right? I mean, the only thing you could do, go to the library and think they had 2 books written by professors. I mean, that didn't do really much to help out. So, I mean, nobody knew anything about it. The bank didn't know and so. And then suddenly, after 10 years, I mean, being an entrepreneur was kind of being a chef, I mean, or a rock star or whatever. So everybody was reading books and going to TechBBQ. And, I mean, the whole thing exploded. And I got that feeling at some stage that getting money into your company was actually, I mean, then you made it. I mean, whoa, I got this investment. I made it. You haven't even started the fucking journey yet. I mean, so I think it got a bit polluted by money at some stage. And now I see a shift again. Now I begin to feel that being bootstrapped is actually cool again. And I still think it's cool to be funded and aim for being a unicorn. But it's also okay to build a small company with sustainability, or building a small company, you being able to take your camper van and drive around the world or whatever. So I think entrepreneurship is getting more healthy in a way, which I really enjoy.
So are you more positive on, do you think that because what we also need in Denmark, all over Europe, we heard that from the panel earlier today, we need to build new big companies, the unicorns that you don't want to build anymore. Do you still see that we have a bigger chance of doing that in the Danish ecosystem, to build new unicorns, or do everyone want to build a small AI startup and just pay their own salary and drive on a camper? Are we too lazy?
I don't think we're too lazy. I think we are living a life that is too good. I mean, just imagine living in the States where you have 1 week off and, I mean, you are living paycheck by paycheck. That's a shitty society, to be honest, run by an orange idiot. No, I think we're doing really well in Denmark. We're doing really well with our smaller companies, medium-sized companies we are building. I mean, what you see, if the large companies build way less employees, I mean, getting much less employees, if you look at how many the smaller companies do. I think we are actually doing pretty well with our medium-sized companies in Denmark. I don't think we need to build those huge companies. And again, with AI, I mean, we are talking about the next unicorn will probably be 1 person. Why do we need to employ 100,000 people or 50,000 people? I think it's an old-fashioned way of looking at things. I think smaller companies, which we are super good at building in Denmark, is perfect for the future. So I'm very confident and very happy.
Cool. So we actually do have time for some questions now, Martin. So we have them on the screen. They are both up there and down here. Let's pick one of those.
What is the single most important skill for a successful founder, in your opinion? It's urgency. It is fucking urgency. Do it right now. If you think too much, if you look at things, blah, 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 it's action, 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 never stop. Action, 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 never stop. I mean, I've invested in a lot of founders, and I never, ever invested in smart founders that had to think too much. Should I go this way and that way? I have to think about it for next week. Fuck off. I would much rather invest in somebody much less skilled and smart who have the fucking energy and just build, crash, crash, build, crash, crash, and break the law and break the code and break the fucking hell, and then just do something. That is absolutely the #1 thing I look for today.
I don't think you'll ever invest in me, Martin. I come from a McKinsey background. I love to do slides, and then we do issue trees. We look at all the options. We sleep on it for a week, and then maybe we make a decision, or we do another workshop. Okay.
Yeah.
So the next one is actually, I think, also to both of us, in terms of the Danish entrepreneurs and investors doing enough to foster the ecosystem. Do you see enough money when you have an acquisition, also your co-founders from Dinero, are they doing enough to pay it forward and invest in other startups?
all the friends I have who has had a nice exit are investing in other companies. I mean, I've never seen. I haven't seen the numbers. I mean, this anecdotally. I mean, I can only tell what I see. And everybody I know who's done well are spending most of their money in the ecosystem in one way or another. So, in my opinion, from my view, I think we are actually doing that. But there might be other people I don't know who doesn't. So,
do you think that you will do another? That's the last question. It's not here. Will you be founder in another company, like full-time founder, skipping, quitting? It's not a resignation letter to you from Visma here in the audience, but quitting Visma, say fuck off, fuck you, and then go and start your own company from scratch.
Yeah, I will definitely do that, but I think I'll find a 20, 25-year-old person who's going to run the 80 hours per week. And I will help with money, network, knowledge, and do's and don'ts, and whatever, and a lot of energy. But I'm too rich and too old to want to work 80 hours a week. I simply don't give a shit about that. I loved to do it back then, and I would do it all over again if I had the same age. But right now, I also like to party. I go out night clubbing at least once or twice a week with my wife and my kids. I have my son here, and he's sitting somewhere. He's a big, tall, much more handsome than I, so that must come through his mother. But anyway, I mean, going out with your kids and having fun and travel with the family and friends is my number one. And then the startup thing, I mean, I think I burnt my fuel there. So the answer is nah.
Yeah, the answer is nah. You can go into politics with that, weak answer at the end there. But if you have a dream of getting a kick-ass, crazy fuck you co-founder, then go and pitch Martin. And he's actually at the Visma stand now, right? You'll be there,
exactly.
Right?
We have a Visma corporate stand where you can ride a bike. But then again, I have all my colleagues, Karina from Economic, and I have from Pineo, and a lot of different of my colleagues. And I'll be there for the next hour or two. So if you want to ask me a more private question or whatever, or my colleagues, we are right there, over the corner.
Let's
give a big hand to Martin. Thank you so much. Thanks.